Hello and welcome. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter, and I love to help confident beginners go from frustration to fabulous by helping them discover and develop machine quilting skills so that they can save time, save money, and make more quilts for family, friends, and even for their business. So, today we're going to talk about some pressing matters. Actually, pressing tools, pressing tips, pressing matters. We're going to look at several things that will help you in your crafting and sewing in home with pressing tools to help you get a good finish on your projects, to get a good start on your projects, and how each step in the pressing using the right tool makes all the difference. So, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to double check something for a quick moment here on the stream, making sure everything is working the way it should. All right, just double checking. I should be live now. I'm not sure it's coming up. It says I'm live, but I don't see it. I'm going to say that I'm here and I'm live. Let me know if you're watching. Say hello in the chat to let me know that I am live on Amazon. I have a uh, laptop here that I use to monitor to make sure I'm live, but it's not showing. So I just want to double check to make sure everything is the way it should be. All right, just double checking that. It says I'm live. Okay, there I am. Woohoo! I see it now. All right, I was a little concerned there for a moment, but it looks like I am live. All right, fantastic. I'm going to highlight the first iron. It's a professional iron. It is an Oliso Smart Iron. iTouch. It's fabulous. It's for pro finishes, pro techniques. It has a beautiful, beautiful sole plate. Let's take a look at it. I want to show you some of the fabulous features. So here we go. And mine is right here. But I want to show you a nice video where you can see the detail. Here's how it comes in this fabulous box, right? It has iTouch features, like I mentioned. It's a smart iron. It has an amazing diamond, excuse me, sole plate. Comes with instructions, and you want to read those instructions. You get a water dispenser. Make sure you read the instructions. It's not packing material. This is a Amazon Prime Day deal. You have multiple ways to use steam. You use the last indicator, you set it there, and that's your steam. Then you use the dial to set how much steam you want. There is the cover. You're going to remove that. And now you see that beautiful diamond ceramic flow sole plate. Beautiful. Love it. Then it comes with, of course, a nice long cord and that swivel in the back. I love that the cord cannot wind on itself. Here's a little demo. You're going to fill it with water with the provided dispenser. Make sure you don't overfill it. You can use steam and you can also spray. Now, when you're moving that dial, you want to make sure it's at the last location. Let me move myself out of the way there so that you can see what's going on. I'm going to move myself up here. All right, so there I am, and I'm going to be a little bit smaller so that you can see that iron in action. Look at that steam. Fantastic. That's one of the benefits of this Pro Iron. You can use it vertically to steam curtains, to steam a suit. It's fantastic for the home. I love that swivel in the back, and it works fantastic. I love it. It does the job. You can spray water with it. and or add additional steam when you need it. Look at the power, how much steam comes out of this Pro iron. You need to turn it off of the last setting on the dial in the front and then turn off the steam if you want to press with no steam. The iron will reset itself. It will start to flash green. When the green is solid, then it's ready. The temperature has been reset for no steam. Let's take a look at this again because this is a fabulous Prime Day deal. It is $169. It's an amazing deal. It's 30% off. You get the instructions. Make sure you read the instructions. Never overfill the iron. Always fill it just below the maximum line. Never overfill. And it's an iron that you can keep in the horizontal position. It's made for that. It's made for that type of use. You do not stand it up vertically. You always want to put the dial at the very end for steam. And here is the diamond ceramic flow sole plate. The holes are along the perimeter for a reason, so that you don't get those holes in your dimples in your fabric. Not holes, but steam dimples. And that swivel in the back, I love that. The cord is long. The swivel at the top helps it from not getting all bound up. When you touch, I'm going to go back a little bit here. Let's see, right there. All right, I'm going to stop there. When you remove your hand, the iron will raise. That's part of the smart part of the iron. It's the eye touch. When you touch it with your hand, it will lower so that you can press. As soon as you remove your hand, it will raise. So I'm going to hit the play so you can see that again. So there, I touched it and it went down, right? Now that it's in my hand, it's in the position to press. When I remove my hand, it's going to raise off of the fabric. You want to make sure that when you are setting the iron for steam, that you're putting it to the last indicator. The last indicator is for steam, all the way to one end, and you will see it. It will have dots on it for steam. Then you use the lever to determine how much steam you want to use. So let's watch. Now I'm rotating it all the way to the end, and now there's 3 levels of steam that I can set. And when it's ready, you can pump additional steam at different moments when you need it. If you're doing curtains and you want to have more steam, you just add more water, use that steam button, and you get more steam. Fantastic. I love this iron. Okay, let's take a close look with my overhead camera. That might have been a little bit fast. Let's take a look here. I'm going to open this up. Let's go with my overhead camera. So here it is. So here is the front dial. This is the dial that you're going to use to set your temperature based on your fabric. From synthetic, cotton, wool, etc. All the way to the right is where you want your steam. And it says so, steam. This is now your steam level. Right now, it's no steam. I move it 1 notch, and that's 1 level of steam. You want more steam, you go to the right. 1 more click, more steam, the highest setting. You want a lot of steam. When you want to add steam at specific moments, you would press this button. If you want to actually spray water onto the fabric, you would use this button, and it will come out of this right here. Easy peasy, right? So right now, it's not plugged in, so the eye touch feature is not engaged because it's not on. It's not plugged in. But this is the leg that comes out here, and here to raise this sole plate off of the surface of the quilt, so, or the fabric. So the sole plate is not touching. When I put my hand on it and the iron is on, this will go in and this will go in, and it will be ready for me to press. As soon as I release my hand, those 2 feet come out and raise the iron so that the sole plate is not touching the fabric. So you never have to stand the iron upright. You always leave it in the horizontal position. There's a light indicator here. When you turn the knob for the setting you want, the green light will flash. That means it's warming up. When it stops flashing and it's solid, that means it's ready to go at the desired temperature based on the setting you selected. Love this iron. It's fantastic. It's a Prime Day deal. Take advantage of it if you need a good professional iron. Okay. So that's one iron that I just got this a couple of months ago. Matter of fact, earlier this year. Let's see if I can wrap this around. Yeah, just do that to wrap it around. Let me show you how I'm doing that overhead. So this is how I wrap the cord around when I'm not using it. All the way around. Okay. Then there's this feature right here on the plug that allows you to then just snap it into place. If I can open it up, it's very tight. All right, I'll do it from the top. Okay, there we go. All right, now the second iron, now that's my main big iron that I use for big projects. When I need something smaller that I want to use by my sewing machine or for smaller areas, I will use this other Oliso iron, which I will highlight. It's called a Mini Pro. This Mini Pro is fantastic. Look at the size of this. It's just the right size for your palm, right? It's aerodynamic. It's made for that. And since your hand rests like this is where your steam buttons are, here and here. When you want to add water, you have a well right here. So this is an amazing little mini project iron. Let's do a quick look at this in an unboxing. So here it is. This is how you will receive it. Again, you get your warranty information. You'll get a manual. Always read the manual. Don't throw it away. Follow the instructions. Every time you get something, you want to read the manual and the instructions so that you get the best use out of the product. And this is no different. So this is the Mini Pro. Again, this is another Prime Day deal. Take advantage of that. It is 26% off. It comes with this nice cover. You see the cover, and then there the steam, and then that's the on and off knob. That's where you turn it on, and there's multiple levels. This is easy to use. Again, that swivel in the back so the cord doesn't get tangled. Love that. That's your water level. That's where you put it in. Again, don't overfill. You want to use that silicone thing for a cover to store, but also you use it when the iron is being used. And so I want to show you that. Let's go back, and I want to show you with my overhead camera how you use that cover. All right, let's go back here. So here it is. Once it's on the sole plate, right, you put it on, you're not using it, it's been cooled off, you can hang it for storage. All right. When you're using this iron, is not used by placing it up like this. It is always resting in a horizontal position. When it's resting in that position, you want to turn this cover over. You see those vent holes there, and you place the iron here. So when you're pressing something, right, you're pressing your quilt block, then you take another quilt block or you turn this around and you're pressing, and then you rest it here. The instructions tell you that once you turn this on, you do not want to have it at the highest setting if you plan to leave the iron in this position for 30 or more minutes. I forget exactly the amount of time, but you always want to check the instructions because it tells you do not leave it in this position for an extended period of time on the highest setting. You always want to turn it off if you're walking away, or turn it to a lower setting if you're not using it frequently. Okay? And there's a little light here. Matter of fact, let me plug it in. I can plug it in. How about that? You reach over here. All right, so it's plugged in, and you might be able to see, yeah, see it's glowing. It is fading in and out. It's kind of subtle. It tells you that when I turn it, it's in the off position. And so now I'm going to turn it until I can turn it on to the first level. That's level 1. And you can see it's flashing. That means it's warming up. And then I can put it on level number 2. And then the highest is level 3. You want to put it on level 2 or number 1 if it's going to sit for any length of time. Never let it sit when it's on level 3. Once it's heated, it will stop flashing and it will be a solid light around the ring as well as on the side. You see the steam button there? It's lit and it's solid. So now this is ready. It's ready to press, to do a quick press on your projects right next to your sewing machine for small projects. When you want steam, of course, you're going to put water in here, and you're going to use this to press for steam. It does not automatically release steam unless you press these 2 buttons. Press the button when you want steam, and you put water in for steam. That is how you do it. When you're not pressing, you want to take it and put it on this silicone. You don't want to leave it on top of your project because you will scorch your fabric. Always put it on here. It's that easy. It's not hard to do, right? Okay, so this is the Mini Pro. It's made for small sewing projects or small pressing projects. All right, so what is next? You're probably wondering, what is that gray thing that she's using? It is a wool mat. I'm going to highlight that in the carousel and let you take a look at that. A wool pressing mat. This is a wool pressing mat. It's dense. It's perfect for quilt blocks. It helps press without distortion. So when I'm pressing this, it's not going to distort my quilt block and make this square less square. That's why you want a nice, dense, this is 17 inches by 17 inches, and it helps you press your quilt blocks nice and flat. Now, you can use steam on it, but because it's wool, the steam will go through the bottom. So do not put this on top of a plastic mat, a rotary cutting mat. The steam will go through and the heat will go through. So be careful where you place this wool mat. You don't want to place it on a surface that's going to be affected by heat or steam. But it is wonderful for pressing your blocks without getting distortion. You get a nice flat quilt block. Love having that option. Okay. Teaspoon of water, okay, or directions recommended, purified or distilled water? Oh, that's a good question. Hello, Lori. How are you? Hello, Mike Ray. Thank you for following. Sorry I missed you earlier. Hope you're still here. Now, I would have to open the directions, but I believe it's tap water if I remember correctly. I do not think you do not need distilled water. You can use tap water on both of these irons. That's my memory. But again, also read the instructions on everything, right? So, and the thing about irons, whether it's distilled water or tap water, here's the thing. You need to empty it out. Never leave water inside of an iron hours at a time, for a day, for a week. You always want to empty it out when you're done. I always empty it out, and if there's still some droplets left and I know I'm not going to use the iron again, my personal practice is to leave the well open. So evaporation for those last couple of drops will evaporate. So for every iron, anytime I have a couple of droplets still left, even after I've emptied it out, either I will press the steam setting and try and get as much of the water out of the iron and dump it out, do some steam action, and then leave the well open so anything left can evaporate. That's my practice. So I hope that helps. Lori, thank you for being here. I think you said you've been wanting to get a new iron. This is the time to get it with these Prime deals. So, Prime Day deals. All right. Now, what are some other pressing surfaces that we can use? Other pressing surfaces, I'm going to highlight one in the carousel. And this is a portable one that you can use when you go on retreats and go to other events. I'm going to turn this off because I am not using it at the moment. And so I want it to. All right. So I'm looking at this one here. This is the OmniGrid foldable pressing mat and cutting board. It's a 2-in-1. 2-in-1. So you have an ironing surface and you have a cutting surface. So I like having something like that. Easy to carry, and it's portable. It's not too small, it's not too big. It's 18, let me see, what was it again? It is 18 by 12 inches, 18 by 12. That's a nice size. So I like that. Let's take a look at it. So there it is. That's the OmniGrid fold away ironing surface and cutting mat, an alternative. And it's cushioned, that ironing surface, so I like that. You can cut your fabric and then press it, and that small project iron, the Oliso Mini Pro, is perfect for this kind of portable mat. It's just the right size. And so there's the cutting surface, and then the other side is your pressing surface. Just make sure you're cutting on the cutting mat and you're pressing on the pressing mat. Don't get the two confused. That can happen. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so there you have it. That is an awesome mat. I love the handles that wrap all the way around this portable and foldable cutting and ironing um, mat. So let's take a look at how this would look like on your surface when you're doing it at home or at a retreat. So I would take it, right, open it up, especially if you have a small space. And then I would open it up. Let's do an overhead camera. And here's my iron. Remember, you want to put it on the ironing side, not on the cutting side. And so this little mini project iron is just perfect for this type of travel situation when you're going to a girlfriend's house or you're going to a retreat and you want to have your own pressing station. This is a great way. See, now I just left this on the mat when I need to leave it on the silicone. Don't forget to do that. Always, when you're not pressing, put it back here. So you press and then you put that back. You don't want to scorch your fabric or your pressing mat. And I'm going to, let's see, right now it's on number 2. I'm going to put it on number 2. So this is just another option that I wanted to share with you. There are all kinds of pressing surfaces that we can have, and they're for different purposes. And sometimes you don't want a big ironing board. You need something smaller, right? So let's look at, I'm going to put this away. Another alternative, close that, is a smaller ironing board. This one, I'll highlight this in the carousel. It has, what's nice is that you can, if you want something a little bit bigger than that small mat, this is a portable mini ironing board, right? Let me go here and then here. So here it is. It's small, but yet it's big. Small, but yet big. It's not as big as your ironing board that's on the floor and at table. Well, maybe what kind of height? Wouldn't be table height. It'd be higher than a table. It would be as high as what, bar stool height maybe, or kitchen counter height. Maybe that height. But this you can use on a table. That's why I like this one. You can use this on a table because you can easily open and close this to get the height that you need. Now, I've made my own ironing board cover. And I did that with, guess what? Quilt binding. That's right, I use quilt binding. I'll highlight that in the carousel. So if you ever want to make your own ironing board cover, you just need some wool batting, some muslin or fabric, your favorite fabric, and then you use quilt binding and some string, and you sew that along the edge. And that allows you to do a drawstring to tighten the ironing board cover around the ironing board. So that's just a quick tip. All right, so what are some of the tools that we can use to help us get good results in our pressing? Some of those tools I'm going to show you that I think are helpful. Now, let's look at this quilt block. See this quilt block here? I've pressed the seams to one side. What if I wanted to press these seams open? I would need something to help me to do that. And I would use the Clover Hold It Precision Stiletto. It's the Clover Hold It Precision Stiletto. And what does that look like? It looks like this. This is the stiletto. It has this nice angled tip. See that tip? It's angled. And it is a grippy tip. This helps grip the fabric. This end is pointed at this side. This end is pointed so that you can pinpoint a spot that you want to hold. This one has a grippy end. Now, how would you use this when you're pressing? If I want to press this seam open, normally I would come in here with my finger and try to start to open up this seam. But I can use the tip of this precision stiletto to start that seam open. Then when I bring my iron in, I need to continue to keep that open. What have we done in the past? We put our finger close to that iron. You can burn your finger. You don't want to do that. So you take this to help open up that seam so that you can continue to press without getting your finger close to the iron. This is heat resistant, so I can touch this with the iron. It won't damage it because it's heat resistant. You don't want to rest the iron on top of it, but you are able to open up that seam without putting your finger there. So you can use either end to help you to do that. Even this can be touched with the iron. It will not melt. It's heat resistant. I want to press that seam open. Okay, let me move this over. Getting that seam open, applying some pressure. I might even use a little bit of steam if I had put some water in, but that is enough to get that seam open. Then I would turn it over and press the other side. But this stiletto helped me to be able to open that seam without putting my finger next to that hot iron. Okay, you just ordered the Clover Stiletto. Awesome. Awesome. For bias binding. That's a neat idea, Lori. Instead of using a metal awl. Oh, yeah, that would be hot to the touch. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, everything rusts in Hawaii because of the moisture level, I would imagine. This would be ideal in high humidity situations. This is fantastic. That's a good tip, Lori. I didn't think about that. If you're in a location where you have high humidity and metal rust, like Hawaii, this would be perfect. Fantastic. Good tip. Okay, so that's the stiletto. What else can we use to help us in our ironing adventures, our pressing adventures? Now, let me show you something here. Maybe not that one. I'll just go in the order of the carousel. The next thing is the Clover hot hammer. And you're probably wondering, well, what is that? What is a hot hammer? This is the hot hammer. Hot hammer, and this is what it looks like. It's interesting. It has this nice felt-like texture so that when you place it on top of fabric, it will grip onto the fabric. It's soft to the touch. It has your measurements here. You can see 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inches, 1 inch. So 1, 2, 3 inches this way, right? 1, 2 inches here. You have this corner. You're probably wondering, why is there a corner notch in this? Why is it not closed? And I'm going to show you why and how you can use this to your benefit. And you have a rounded side. That's if you have to press a hem or a collar or something that you have to get a rounded edge on. You can use this. And this is heat resistant and it does not get too hot. So that's another benefit of using this hot hammer. So let's do a little demonstration of how this works. Here's some fabric, and I want to do a 1/2 inch hem, right? And normally we would fold this over and maybe use some kind of measuring tool, and then we might mark a line and then fold it over. But all I have to do is bring this fabric over to the edge. This is 1 inch. It says right here, 1 inch, 2, 3, and 4. I want a 1 inch hem right there. So I bring the edge of the fabric and then I just come in and I can press this for that 1 inch hem. And I can continue. Look, I just put my hand on that. It's warm to the touch, but it's not hot. It will not burn. And I move it over, bring the fabric over, making sure that I'm pushing the edge into the fabric fold to get that perfect 1 inch hem. Just like that. So I can easily move from one section to the next because this is not too hot to handle. Isn't that interesting how that works? It has this felt-like texture. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but when I put it in here, it is not shifting. You see how it's not shifting? It's not sliding like maybe metal might slide, and it's not too hot to the touch. So now I just come in and I finish my 1 inch hem. And after that, because I like to make sure I have that nice crease there, I will come in and just reinforce it. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, she said she was going to tell us what this was for. So I'm going to show you what that is for. You can use that to box corners. It's 1 2-inch if you want a 2-inch box corner, and I can show you how I used that recently on a tote bag. So here it is. That's the hot hammer, and I'm using it with a chalk pencil to mark on the corner of a tote bag that I'm making. I don't have to measure because it's all in the hot hammer. And once I mark it on both corners, I just have to cut those squares out and then sew it together to make my box corners. Take my scissors and cut right on the line. The hot hammer helped me to do that. Easy, easy, right? I love that. So that's why you have this. This is perfect for that. Now, what if you wanted to do a rounded corner? Remember we talked about that? So this side, I want this corner to be round. And I'm lining it up where I have a 1 inch hem here and a 1 inch hem here. But I want this part to be rounded. So I can just bring this in. And again, I can use my stiletto to help me. Right? I'm going to use that stiletto to come in and help me round off that fabric, to gather it in, to round off that. Okay? Let's bring that point in. Now, I might come in and pre-cut a rounded edge so I wouldn't have so much fabric here. But I just want to show you how easily you can come in and press for a rounded corner. Very easy. Okay. Press that out. All right. Now, that's the hot hammer. This is a nice size, but maybe you need to put a hem along 20 inches. This goes from, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. So you'd have to do this over and over and over again. So guess what? Clover made something longer when you want to do a longer hem. And that is also in the carousel. It's the hot ruler. The hot ruler. Same material, but it's just longer. The hot hammer, you see the length? Okay, there we go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches, whereas this is 6. So you get an additional 4 inches. And if you want to, is that the right thing? That's the right thing. Okay. Now I want to do a nice long 1 inch hem. I don't have to shift the ruler as many times because now it's 10 inches. Okay, 10 inches. There we go. And I can easily touch this because remember, it does not get too hot. It's warm, but it's not too hot. And then I continue and I press and I press. Easy peasy, right? But guess what else you can do with this? You can use it to make a table napkin with mitered corners. Here's an example. See those perfectly mitered corners? I used the hot ruler. You can also use the hot hammer, either one, to do these perfect mitered corners for a cloth napkin. I took a fat quarter and I cut it in half to make 2 mini. This is a mini napkin that you can use, say, in your to-go lunch bag. You can put it in your lunch bag, or you can put it in your purse. It's a mini napkin, but all the corners were mitered very easily with the hot hammer or the hot ruler. Let me show you how that's done. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is determine what size you want the hem to be around the edge of the napkin. I have a 1/2 inch right here, and I want it folded over. So I need to first create a whole inch fold, and that's what you see here. I have an inch fold going across. And the reason why I'm doing an inch is because I'm going to fold this under just like that to get a 1/2 inch with a nice finished edge, right? So the first one is 1 inch hem. You need that 1 inch hem. Once you have that, then you're going to make sure that you do that 1/2 inch on both sides. You want a 1/2 inch here, a whole inch here, and then you want to press a whole inch on this side, on both sides. After you do that, the corner where both of those meet, here's our inch fold here, our inch fold there. The intersection is this point right here. And so you can see I've marked it with a pen so that you can see. When I put the hot ruler, you will see that this is 1 inch hem right here, 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch right there, and then 1 inch right here. And that is the ruler being used to create that 1 inch hem. But I want to finish this napkin with a 1/2 inch, right? Folded 1/2 inch hem. But I have to start off with 1 inch. And so that's why I start off with 1 inch. Once you do that, all you have to do is fold over the raw edge to the ruler. And then you press. Okay? Fold over the raw edge straight to the ruler and you press. And you can use the stiletto to hold that down, right? You're going to do the same thing on this side. Fold over the edge of the raw edge to the ruler, and then you're going to press. Fold that over and you press the raw edge right to the ruler and you press. Once you do that, then you can bring in this corner on this 45. You see how this 45-degree line is right here in the corner? This corner here is going to go and line up with that 40-degree line. Once you line that up, you hold it down with your stiletto and you press. You press that. Whoops. You make sure that stays where it's supposed to be, right? Hold that down with the stiletto. Okay. This created a 1 inch square right here. Right? We folded this over and pressed it to the edge. We fold this over and pressed it to the edge. Now that these two are pressed, all I have to do is fold it over here and fold it over here. And now you have a perfect mitered corner. See that mitered corner? It's easily done right there. But you're wondering, what about that little piece of fabric? What is she going to do with this little piece of fabric? We don't want to see that, right? This is where I love this hot hammer because it's helping me with each stage of creating a perfect miter. I don't have to do any measuring. It's all in the ruler, right? So we did our first 1 inch. Then we're folding it over straight to the edge of the ruler and we're pressing. We're doing that on both sides. And we're doing that open, right? So 1 inch here, 1 inch there. Once that's done, you're going to take this corner, line it up with the 45 miter. Make sure that that point is right there on that miter, on that 45-degree angle. Now you fold this over and you have a mitered corner on this side, and then you fold that over and then you have a nice mitered corner. How do you get rid of this fabric? Easy peasy, if I do say so myself. How do you do it? You fold it, this point, you fold it to the opposite side. Right there, that little triangle. Maybe it's too small for you to see. I just folded that corner to the opposite corner. just like that, opposite corner. Once you fold that over, you're going to fold this side. You can even cut that tip off if you want, because it's not really needed. You don't need that extra fabric in there, but you can fold it, and now that fabric is gone. You have a perfect mitered corner. See that? Is that amazing? Is that awesome? All with this ruler. Easy peasy. No measuring necessary. You use the ruler to do it. Perfect mitered corner. So I would come in here and I would hold this down with the stiletto, right? Hold that down. Bring my iron in here and make sure that that is pressed, right? Accurately. I might even come in with a little bit of basting glue just to hold it in place, or use a clip. You can use a clip, you can use a Wonder clip, and hold it in place till I get to the sewing machine. So I hope that was not too confusing. Let me know in the chat. Hello, Nona. So glad you're here. Awesome. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for following. So that's how you can make a beautiful handkerchief with mitered corners or napkin easily with the hot hammer or with the hot ruler. Either one, you get these nice, beautiful, and then you just do a nice close stitch with blending thread all the way around. No raw edges. Everything is put together very nicely, right? Beautiful. Okay. Do you have any questions? Are you going to get a hot hemming ruler? Let me know in the chat. Was that helpful to show you how you can use this ruler? Either the hot hammer or the hot ruler. Both have multiple uses for hems and other things that require a hem. Well, let me know in the chat if that was helpful. Okay, this is this, and this goes together, and that goes together. There we go. Okay, so what's next? What are some of the other tools that we need for pressing? It's so important. When we are making quilts, sometimes we do applique, right? We do some applique work, and we want something that's going to help us with that. And sometimes even this iron is too big. We need something smaller to come in and get around those delicate pieces in applique. And so I love this iron by Clover. It's a mini iron. I'm going to highlight it in the carousel. Let me go to the overhead camera so that you can see it. This is the mini iron. Okay, it comes with, when you get the set, let me go to the wider view here. Turn that over, put that like that. Okay, I'm going to move this over just a tad. Get a little organized here. All right, so that you can see everything. So here's this is an extra tip that I got separately. This is the tip that comes with it. You get a screwdriver, right? This is the adapter tip, the large adapter tip that I got separately. You get a screwdriver so that you can insert the tip, and of course you get instructions. Always, always read instructions, ladies. Then you get this little Clover stand. This is to help rest the iron when it's hot so you don't scorch your fabric or your ironing surface, right? So how do you put this together? Very, very easy. So here it is. There are multiple parts to this. One, you have to plug it in, right? You have your switch, off and on switch, right? You want to make sure you use that. Turn it off and on, right? Then you have this protective guard. That's because this center section, it's not hot, it's not plugged in. I can touch it, but when it's plugged in and hot, you don't want to touch this. This gets hot. So be careful, right? Always read instructions. This is a guard to protect you from touching it. I like this guard, and it also protects when if you lay it down, it's not going to make contact with your fabric, right? So it's not touching this wool mat when I lay it down like this, right? It's not going to scorch it. You want to unscrew this, right? Loosen it so that you can put in the tip, the desired tip. So you see the different in sizes in these two tips? That's a smaller one. This is a larger one. It depends on what you're using it for, what size tip you need. If your applique is very delicate and small, you might want to use that tip, right? But if you have something that is not very small, you can use this one, right? And then you want to make sure you tighten it. Tighten that down so that the tip stays in place. But I think I put that in too far because I want to be able to rest it on here. Well, it does rest. It still rests. But you have enough length on these so that you can rest the hot tip on here and not have it rest and burn the fabric. That's why you need this. Okay? So that is the accessory. You can get a kit like you see in the carousel below that has multiple tips and other accessories, or you can get the tips separately if you already have one like I did that it didn't come with one. So that is going to be up to you. I highlighted the one that is the mini iron with all the accessories just now in the carousel. Take a look at that and you will see the different accessories. You have to click on it and see all the different accessories that you get with it. Now, as an example, let's take a look at this applique block. Okay, so this is not hot right now. I did not plug it in, but here's my applique, right? I want to press this down, and I could. This is a nice applique with a nice big center piece. The center is large. So I would use this smaller project iron to press it compared to a traditional size iron, or I can use a larger iron. But say I want to press these corners. I want to make sure that those corners, I want to come in here with this tip and hit those corners and make sure they're nice and flat. I can do that with this mini iron. You see how this is the perfect size for applique? Now, I have to confess, I don't do a lot of applique. And when I do, it's usually large like this. It's not small. So it depends on what kind of applique you are doing when you want to use something like this mini iron. Remember, you want to get ironing tools, pressing tools for the specific projects that you make. If you are an appliquer and you like those nice, beautiful, delicate, what do they call, Baltimore album, I think, quilts, where they have bouquets of flowers and there's all these nice little bits of fabric to create the flowers. You don't want to use a large, this would be a large iron because you're going to hide and not be able to see what you're doing. The benefit of using something like this is that you can see. Now, even this would be big for those smaller applique. I would actually take this one off for a smaller applique project, right? take this one off and put in the smaller one so that I can get around those delicate areas. Remember, this is not hot, so it's not plugged in, and so I'm touching it. Now, when I'm using this smaller one and I am coming in on small areas, I can see more around this to make sure I'm not interfering with other parts of the applique. That's where this mini iron is most beneficial, I think, when we're hitting small areas and we can see. If I was using this larger iron and I'm trying to press something, look how much of the applique it hides. I can't see what's going on underneath there. And you want to be able to see that. So you want something that's going to give you multiple tip sizes so that you can use the tip size appropriate for the task. If you've been following me for some time, like Lori has, Lori, I think you found me here on Amazon, and now you're joining my Quilt Conversations live on Fridays. And you know, right, Lori? Confirm in the chat. I share tools that are going to help us in our quilting journey. I don't want you to get tools that are unnecessary. You want the right tool for the job. Okay? So this is going to help with small areas. And Lori says, yes. Yes, the right tool for the job because it makes it easier. Why be frustrated and use the wrong tool? It actually, you end up doing more work. Okay, so that's another specific pressing tool that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to pack this up, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to put this to the side. Okay, because I want to go over some other things with you. Let me see what's next in the carousel. All right, I want to look at some cold pressing options. We were looking at pressing options where we use heat, and sometimes we don't use heat when we press. So I want to look at some of those options with you. Okay, and I'm going to use this block as an option. The right tools make everything so much easier. That is so true. And a better finished project. Yes, Lori, that is true. Okay, so now we have this block. Let me go to the wide angle. I think this is going to help you to see things a little bit better. Okay, so here we have this block. All right, and we have these intersections here where we have 2 points coming together. Here, 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 and here. How do we press it? What's the best way? When I am working on a quilt, I want to make sure I'm pressing according to the pattern instructions. Your construction of the quilt top will be best when you do that. Also consider when you machine quilt. If you have a bulky seams make it difficult to quilt your projects. So you want to do some really good pressing where you have multiple seams coming together. And when we have 1, 2, 3 fabrics coming together with another 3 fabrics, there's going to be a lot of bulk right here. How do you get that nice and flat? How do you do that? You have to decide, are you going to press open? So you're looking at the pattern and you're deciding, am I going to stitch this so that I can press the seams open? We're not going to discuss pressing seams open or to the side. There's a debate about that, but I don't want to have a debate. Instead, I want to talk about why I press seams open and then change my stitch length. I will have a tighter stitch length when I know I'm going to press my seams open. My stitch length is going to be shorter because I want that to be a nice tight stitch. And the reason why I pressed it open is because of all of this fabric. Look at all of this fabric. I'm going to bring this up so that you can see it. Look at all of that fabric. That is going to be too thick for my machine to go through. Machine needle. It's going to make it difficult and challenging. So I said half is going to be on this side, half is going to be on that side. I don't want two on top. So I press my seams open. Now, that is laying nice and flat, right? I came in. This block is nice and flat. Those seams are pressed open. Get that one there. But say the seam is a little bit stubborn and it doesn't want to lay flat. You can take a drop of water right on top of the fabric to help relax the fibers, and then press it again, right? You turn it over on this side, and then you're going to press on this side, right? To make sure it's nice and flat as much as possible. Sometimes you want to take a roller like this one while you're by your sewing machine and do some pre-pressing. This dry pressing helps to prepare it for the iron. I like to do dry pressing at my sewing machine, and I'll use either this roller, which is wooden, it's wide. This part is plastic. I love this one. It works very nicely for me to get those seams open and flat so that I can continue to piece the block at the machine. Then when I get to my bigger ironing surface, I can come in and really press down those seams. So dry pressing at the machine is one of the things that I like to do. Here's another option. This one is a little bit smaller. It's palm size. Notice how this fits in the palm of my hand, and my fingers rest right along the edge here. There's an indentation for this finger to sit in here to help with the pressing action. This is also by Clover. And by the way, my friends at Clover sent me these products, but they are in no way influencing what I'm telling and sharing with you about the product. I always want to share those things that I know that are going to be beneficial for you and to give you options. That's why I'm showing you both of these. Two options. Look at the size of the rollers. They're different. They both work. You decide what's going to work for you. And if you need something that's going to fit right in the palm of your hand, very nice and neat, this may be the option for you, right? So I will press it open on that side, and this is done at my machine, and I'll just reinforce it, and then I will take my iron and completely press down those seams. Now, occasionally we get some really stubborn seams, right? We get some seams that don't want to behave. They want to do their own thing, and this is one of those blocks. Look at all those pieces of fabric coming to that intersection here and here and here. It's really bulky. Look at all that bulk. That is a lot of fabric happening in here. Pressing it to one side is definitely an option, but it is very thick. That is going to be a problem when I come with my needle at this side. Too thick, too thick, too thick. So I'm going to press that open. That would be my preference, would be to press these guys open. This row, and this row, to press it open. Now, once I do that, if it's still bulky, guess what I get? I get out my rubber mallet. I get out my rubber mallet. Do you have a rubber mallet in your pressing arsenal? You take that out, you put the fabric on a hard surface, right? You don't do it on your table. You don't want to damage any furniture. Usually I might bring it outside or something, put a piece of fabric or something else on the ground, and then I put this on top, and then I put another piece of fabric on top, and then I take this mallet and I go whack, whack to flatten out that seam. It makes a difference. It does. It makes a difference. Just whack. Now you might put a little bit of water on there, like I mentioned. Whack, whack, flatten that seam. You don't want it to be a problem when you get to quilting. Once it becomes a quilt sandwich, it's going to be harder to flatten these thick seams. See all that fabric coming together there? That is so thick. I don't know if you can see that on camera. It is too thick. That's why I would open this up, use a shorter stitch length so that I can press that open and flatten this out. And I will use a mallet if I have to. All right. So, what is next? Some other pressing tools. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. We are already at 1 hour, ladies. What are we going to look at now? We're going to look at what's next in the carousel. It is a seam roller. Have you ever used a seam roller? Do you know what that is? The fabric on it changes every now and then, but it's basically the same. And some of them call it a ham because it looks like ham. I guess so, right? So let's take a look. Say you have a piece of fabric that has a seam on it and you want to, even when we want to press something open like this, having a ham to help us open up that seam, right? It helps me to get it off of a flat surface onto something round so I can press that seam open. When we have something curved, it helps us to press that curved quilt block seam to one side or open. Something that's curved and round. That's what a ham will help us with. And mainly it's used with garment sewers. So if you need to press something that has like a cuff and you want to put that cuff around this and then press a nice finish on a cuff, you can use this seam roll to do that, or ham. But you see how that helped me open up that seam just by putting it on the ham. It helped me, or the seam roll, it helped me to open that up because this is round. So that's an option. Then there's also another hammer type. Where is that? Over here. This is called an easy hem. Remember, I like to give you options, and this is the Dritz Easy Hem. It's a hem gauge. It's big. 1 inch all the way here to 8 inches. We have centimeters. This is a rounded hem. And then we have a straight hem. And you would do basically the same thing. You would take this with a piece of fabric. Right? You want to do the same thing. This is the side with the different measurements, depending upon what size hem, either centimeters or inches. And this is the 1 inch mark. And so I would put that in, but this is metal. This is metal. When I put this on here and I do my hem, I want to make sure I do not touch here. It will be hot to the touch. Only touch the top that has not been touched by the iron. You slide that over. Make sure you don't touch the hot area, and then you continue pressing. Okay, let's look at a little video here. So there it is, either straight or curved, centimeters or inches. You decide. It's a larger one, but remember it is metal. It will be hot to the touch, so you have to be careful when you are making that hem. And you make sure you push the hem into the fold for accurate hem size. Okay? You hold it in place, and remember, you see I'm touching the top, not touching the part that's been touched by the iron, because it's metal. It will be hot to the touch. Keep going, and you would do that with binding, with hems for clothing, whatever you need to create a hem for, or a fold. Sometimes you need a fold for different things in quilting, and so you want to be able to do that very easily. And sometimes I do some double folding, and I would use this to help me with that. It just depends on the size and the project. So that's another option. Okay, just wanted to share that with you. And let's look at another thing that is important for sewing and quilting, and that is sometimes when we are doing applique or other projects where we're using fusibles. Raise your hand if you've ever used an iron with a fusible product that you had to fuse the fabric and you got glue on your iron. Raise your hand. It's okay. You can confess. You're welcome. All right. I'll see you on Friday. Wonderful. See you then. Have a good rest of your evening or day. I don't know what time it is in Hawaii right now, but I imagine it's either early or late. Thanks, Lori, for hanging out with me. Now, we need something to protect our iron. And you can get a hot pressing sheet. What is a hot pressing sheet? It's a sheet that you can use. It's Teflon. You can use it to press things and protect your iron. So heat will go through it. It will press what you need underneath, but the glue will not go onto your iron. Yes, so you need that. I'm going to highlight that in the carousel, and here it is. It's a non-stick heat pressing sheet. And you can use it for multiple things, and it is a prime deal. So take advantage of that inexpensive price there. Heat press, ironing, which we're talking about, pressing matters, ironing, baking, and crafting. I use this also for the crafting I do with paper crafts with ink. So you can use it for multiple things, right? Right here, 100% non-stick, 1,000 uses. It says it's heat resistant to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's right. Can you believe it? Easy to trim to any size and shape. So let's see if I can get this out so you can see it. You get multiple sheets. Boy, that's in there really good. I'm going to have to go in from the other side. Let's see. I haven't taken it out in a while. Okay, let me try from the other end. There we go. And I will push it out the other side. So here it is. Multiple sheets, right? Very simple, right? Not difficult. You can see I use this for my ink projects because remember you can use it for multiple things. It's Teflon and it's heat resistant up to 500. So you're going to have your fabric here, then whatever it is that has your fusible, then you're going to place this on top. And you can then press that fusible onto the fabric without a problem. It won't stick to the iron and it won't stick to the Teflon sheet, but it will apply heat so that it sticks to your fabric or other medium. So this is one of those staple things that you need for pressing. You're always going to use some kind of fusible product in crafting and sewing. And the bonus with this is that you can use it for not only crafting and sewing, but it says here you can use it for heat press if you do t-shirts, that kind of thing. You can use it for baking. Very, very versatile. You want to get this multiple sheets. You will use it again and again and again. It's one of those things that when you need it, right? And I'm glad that I have it. Okay. What is next in our carousel? When we are pressing, sometimes we need some help to get the iron, pressing the iron to do exactly what we need it to do for the fabric. And what I like to use are two products. One is a Stay Flow, and it is a starch, a liquid starch. So I will use this for pressing. This will help prepare my fabric for stitching. When our fabric has minimal movement, the starch helps make it a little bit stiffer, keeps those fibers in place. So once I use the starch, it does three things. It minimizes the fabric moving when I'm cutting. It minimizes fabric movement when I'm stitching the fabric. And then it minimizes fabric movement when I'm quilting. All three of those, the fabric can shift and move and change the look of your quilt block. It makes a difference. And so if you've ever tried to stitch with fabric that just has so much movement in it and it easily stretches, especially if you're cutting on the bias cut has the most stretch. So if you have a quilt block or a pattern that has a lot of bias in it, spray starch. You can mix your own concentrate with that, or you can get something like Quilt Savvy. This is by June Taylor. And I like this one because it's pre-done for you. You just spray it. It's fragrance-free, flake-free. And part of the flaking that happens is that when you spray starch onto fabric, you spray it and it's sitting on the top of the fabric. It has not permeated the fabric. That's when you get the starch, right? My practice is to permeate the fabric with the starch, let it dry. I let it dry, then I press. No flakes. Starch Savvy, no flakes, fragrance free. It stiffens fabric. You can get this if you don't want to mix your own starch. Now, I saved the bottle and reuse it. So I love having tools that are going to help me get a good press for my projects, and I use starch to help me do that. All right, I think we've covered everything in the carousel. Woohoo! If you're watching live and you have a question about pressing, for crafting, for quilting, for sewing, any of the tools that you see, I've talked about so many different tools. Take advantage of the Prime Day. This is the last day for Prime. And if you haven't, and you're just joining me, I'm going to run the Oliso iron because that is a prime deal. And I want you to take advantage of that, not to miss out. This is the Oliso iron. It's a pro smart iron. It's fantastic. It has an iTouch feature. I love mine. This is my second one. I purchased one before this. I just got this one a couple of months ago and I love it. It's a professional iron. Don't forget to read the instructions. Always, always, always read the instructions. This iron is fantastic for professional home use and craft and sewing use. It has a fantastic steam system where you can steam curtains, you can steam a suit because you can use this in a vertical position for steaming. it rests in a horizontal position when you are pressing on an ironing board, but when you want to steam, just vertical. There is the diamond ceramic sole plate with the holes on the perimeter, so you don't get those steam holes in your fabric. Not literal holes, but indentations. Always fill just at the maximum, never go over. You always want to put in the recommended amount of water. Tap water is fine. The most important thing with water and steam and an iron is that when you're done, empty it out. Empty out that water, steam it out, and then leave the cap open so that whatever water is left can evaporate if the iron's going to sit for an extended period of time. It's not difficult to use. You can use steam or not use steam. Check out this steam action. Look at that. I love it. It's a fabulous iron for steam. It's very powerful. I love the cord in the back with the swivel so it doesn't get tangled. You can spray literal water onto the fabric and it easily will permeate the fabric, and then you press it out. You decide whether you want steam or water. Easy to use. Look at that steam coming out of there. And if you don't want steam, you just turn it off. Push that lever all the way to the left. Turn the dial in the front to no steam, and you're all set. The iron will reset. That flashing light that you saw, the green flashing, that means that it's resetting the temperature. Once the green light is solid, you're ready to go. Red light means it's not ready. Green flashing means it's warming up. Once that green light is solid, it is ready. Excuse me. So if you are looking for a pro iron, you do a lot of pressing, whether it's for craft or the home, this is a good choice. Take advantage of the Prime Day deal. Wanted to share that with you. And another Prime Day deal is a companion to that, and that is the Mini Pro iron. This Mini Pro, which I have here, is a fabulous smaller iron. And this one comes with this nice silicone cover. This side is the cover. It tells you right here, this side is for storage right there at the top. And then this side is when you need it to rest. It does not rest in an upward vertical position because this is to be used right when you're in the middle of doing a project. Some projects require us to press in between steps, like if you're doing foundation paper piecing, something like that, and you need to press. So you're going to do press, put this, do the next thing, and then you're going to press. So having it always in the horizontal position is what's going to help. I'm going to highlight that in the carousel. That is 26% off, so take advantage of that. Let's look at a little unboxing video. Here it is. This is how you're going to receive it in this box. You have a warranty card. You fill that out. You get instructions. Always, 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 always read the instructions. Always, always the do's and don'ts for everything that we buy. And you will get the most out of your purchases when you do that, when you read the instructions. A nice long cord. Love that. Then you have the cover there that is for storing, and that cover is also for you to be able to rest the iron. On the side, you have your steam buttons. The top knob is for turning it on, and there are 3 different settings. This is for pressing while you are in the middle of working on your project and you need to press in between each step. You can put water in this. You can use steam. Again, do not overfill. And when you're done, empty it out. Always empty out the water, no matter what iron you're using. See how you can store it once you're done? Fabulous. Love it. Okay. This is the iron. Once it is ready, there'll be a steady light around the edge. You can see that. And then right here, this is the steam button. You see that's lit? It's ready to go. There's one on each side. The iron is meant to be used in this position like that. And when you hold it like that, you can hit those steam buttons very easily while you're pressing. That's the only time that you get steam is when you press these two buttons, right? Here and here. Okay, then you have a little indicator here for your water. And guess what? Right here, you can change the voltage from 120 to 220. It's have iron, will travel. So if you're traveling and you need to bring an iron and the voltage has changed, you can easily do that right here on the edge. I love that feature. And you have a nice point on there for delicate areas. The sole plate, again, has a nice flat surface, and the steam holes are at the tip rather than in the center. So when you're steaming something, remember that if you need to apply steam to a certain area, remember the steam holes are in the front of the iron. And when you're not pressing, you want to rest it on here. And you don't want to leave it for an extended period of time. This is actually for in the middle pressing, not when you are sewing and then 20 minutes later you're pressing. This is when you're sewing, pressing, right? When you have to let it sit, always leave it on number 2 or number 1 setting. You don't want to leave it on the highest setting because this is hot and this is going to get warm. So you don't want to leave it sitting at the highest setting. Read the instructions. Read the instructions. Read the instructions. That's right, read the instructions. Okay, I'm just doing a quick run through all the things that are prime deals because, ladies, we're running out of time. You want to get those prime deals while they're hot. So what else in the carousel is a prime deal? I'm going to scroll through that because I've been live for about an hour and a half now. I've gone through all of the tools in the carousel. So if you're just joining me, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I don't want you to miss out on the prime deals. Prime deal is the Teflon sheets that I mentioned. If you missed that, the Teflon sheets are great for using with fusible products that you want to fuse to fabric. You don't want to get glue on your iron, so you need a Teflon pressing sheet to help reduce that from happening. You use a Teflon sheet, you use it correctly, you're not going to get glue on your iron. So that's a prime day deal. You want to take advantage of that. And the 2 irons. Yep. Now, if you missed the beginning and you've missed some of my tips, guess what? There's a replay. After I end this, you will be able to watch the whole thing with the tips I give for using a stiletto, for using the hot hammer, for boxing corners, how to make your own tablecloth napkins with a mitered corner. I show you how to do that. So watch the replay. And if you're watching, hit the follow button. That way you'll get notified when I go live. And I love to stream and share my sewing and quilting space. If you're a live streamer and you want to get started in that, or you're a teacher, I love to share the tech that I use for teaching and live streaming. I want to help you. I want to help you be successful in live streaming. Hello, Arlene. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for following. And then I like to share tips and techniques. I like to help quilters, confident quilters, go from frustration to fabulous. I want you to be able to discover and develop machine quilting skills and then also to make more quilts, to save time, to save money, to make more quilts for family, friends, and even for your business if that is what you do. That's me, Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. I want to help you succeed in quilting, live streaming, or in tech gear if you teach. If you are watching and you think, how can a quilter help me with live streaming? I set up my own studio. Everything you see here, the scrolling ticker, the follow button, the lights, everything, I set that up. And if I can set it up, I know that you can. Ignore that it's quilting. Look at the delivery of the content. What content do you want to deliver? I went live today twice. So if you go to my channel here on YouTube, Living Water Quilted, it's amazon.com/live/Living Water Quilter. You can watch the replay, and I share my studio space. The lights I use, the microphone, the overhead camera, the switcher that I use to go from this view to my overhead view, how I'm using my cell phone, how I can go from this overhead view to this overhead view. That's right. Forget that I'm a quilter and you're like, oh, I have no interest in quilting. But maybe you want to live stream and you want to know how I'm able to do all this switching back and forth. How did she get that? How is she incorporating video into her live stream, B-roll, and putting an overlay? How is she doing that? How is she lighting up her space? So go take a look if you have an interest in that, because I want to share with you the tools that I use to live stream. Go watch the replay and you'll learn about the tools, the teleprompter, the monitor, the laptop, the cell phone, etc., the lighting. I want to help you. Go take a look. Have I convinced you? Maybe not. Maybe you're not a live streamer. Tell your friends who are live streamer and or they haven't started and they want to get started. Anyway, thank you. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, a Living Water Quilter. I've been chatting along, waiting to see if anyone had any additional questions about pressing. If you don't, I'm going to sign off. And I will be back sometime next week. I haven't decided when. I've live streamed 3 times today, 4 times yesterday. This girl is tired. Can I be honest about that? I am tired. I am worn out. Prime Day is serious business. All right. I will see you next time for another Quilt Conversations live. Truly, it's been my pleasure to share with you tips about pressing, and I hope they were helpful. I'll see you next time. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. I'm signing off.